You could turn in your Bibles to
Somebody once told me, hey now, what a concept. Somebody once told me, I said yeah. Go for the moon.
Welcome back to Somebody Once Told Me, the podcast where we explore the voice of Christ and his church in the book of Psalms. Wet beds, verse 6 and 7 of Psalm 6. Wet with tears, we must make that clear. I'll read them out. I'll read my NIV 1984 out for these two verses. I am worn out from groaning. All night long I flood my bed with weeping and drench my couch with tears. My eyes grow weak with sorrow. They fail because of all my foes. Do you have the word couch? That's such an American word.
Yeah. It's,
On my couch.
yeah. It's like a
my
day bed, isn't it, or something? I don't know.
my futon. I don't know. Okay.
Yeah, it's quite a stark part of the psalm, isn't it? It's quite distinctive, which is why we've called the psalm the one with the wetting of the bed.
Yes.
Do you want to hear what one of the greatest preachers of the early church says about this?
Who are we talking about? Let me guess. Are we talking about John Chrysostom? Num.
Yeah, Chrysostom.
Yeah, cool. Go on.
Yeah. He says this: "Let those who have beds of silver listen to what the bed of the king was like.
Oof.
Not jewel encrusted or gilt, but washed with tears." So not jewel encrusted or gilt. So I think like that's with not gilt with a Y, but gilt with,
Gilt with
silver
gold.
and gold and stuff, but
Yeah.
washed with tears.
Wow. Read it again. That was good.
Let those who have beds of silver listen to what the bed of the king was like. Not jewel encrusted or gilt, but washed with tears. I can go on, actually. His were not nights of repose, but nights of mourning and lamenting. Boom.
Wow. Yeah, decent. He, I imagine, is talking about the king. Well, maybe he's being deliberately vague because it's a Psalm of David. I wonder if he's just talking about David, or maybe he's being
No, I think he would have had a dual understanding.
Yeah,
of,
dual.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is interesting, isn't it? So the nights just so far, Psalm 3, Psalm 4, we've thought about going to sleep. Jesus, how he went to sleep at night. And now it's interesting because that coming up a bit again at Psalm 6 about all night long, I flood my bed with weeping. So there's a lot about how Jesus slept, which is interesting.
Yeah.
And this comes straight off the back of
The
being dead in the grave from
yeah.
verse 5.
Some verse 5, yeah.
Now we're talking about sleep. So again, they're linked, aren't they?
Yeah, it's interesting how Psalm 3 and 4 both mention sleep, and then
Psalm 5 is waking up. Similar.
And then this, again, kind of hooks us back into that.
Yeah.
Yeah, what do you do in your bed?
Yeah. My eyes grow weak with sorrow.
Mm.
They fail because of all my foes. It's interesting because the previous Psalm 5, lead me, O Lord, in your righteousness because of my enemies.
Yeah.
But here it's because of those enemies. I'm just crying all night.
Yeah.
So what's he talking about? What does that mean? My eyes grow weak with sorrow. Is that just a poetic way of saying I'm crying a lot?
Yeah. Yeah.
Lee said something I thought was really good on the prayer meeting where we launched this psalm. He said, it's almost as if, how did he put it?
Like
sort of
progressively
struggling to, I'm losing a bit of a grip here,
Yeah.
I'm just so overcome with sorrow that reality seems to be slipping away a little bit, and I'm calling out to try and stay on track here. My eyes are growing weak. I'm not seeing things quite straight.
Yeah. Did he say that there's like a progressive sort of...
Yeah, it gets deeper and deeper.
Worse, yeah. So there's moaning, and then the tears, and then the weeping. which drenches the couch,
Yeah.
the bed. And then it says that my eye wastes away. So it's like,
Yeah.
you know when you get to that point where there's no tears left,
Yeah.
and it starts
gosh.
to crinkle up. and
Personally,
it's
I
dry.
don't know what that's like. But
No.
probably you've got some insight into that, Aron. But
Yeah, when I watched
Inside Out 2.
No,
No.
what's it about Peter Rabbit?
Oh, no.
No, it was the one about Winnie the Pooh with Christopher Robin. That's the
Yeah,
one.
that's quite sad.
Honestly,
to be honest.
They just kept coming, the tears, and then they just disappeared. And
My eyes grow weak with sorrow was,
I was crying, and there was nothing coming out because they'd all gone. I'd exhausted the stores of tears.
I've thrown up before to the point where there's nothing left, but you're still like retching. So it's a bit like that for your tears, I guess. Yeah.
But then your eye starts to like dry up and sort of close, and you can't open them,
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
and you can't see.
Yeah. This was the experience of the Son of God in his
Yeah.
days on earth. Yeah.
If you've ever had that, then Jesus knew that.
Yeah. Wow.
That's grief beyond grief.
The man of sorrows.
Yeah.
Lee said something else to me that Andrew Bonner calls
Yeah,
this
he
the
calls
sorrow of the man of sorrows.
Yeah,
Psalm
he
6.
does, yeah.
That's helpful. Yeah, so this really is such a deep pit that you're in. But some of our church members, you'll know, maybe even this week, you're crying at night.
Yeah.
What a helpful psalm then. You look at my Saviour, my great high priest gets me in this moment. He knows. He's like, I've been there and I've been deeper. I get you. I sympathise in your weakness.
Absolutely.
What a comfort.
And to answer your question, like it is because of the foes, but also that it's off the back of like the weight and the weight of bearing sin, isn't it? And you think of him on the cross, and even in Gethsemane, enemies surrounding him. The people are jesting at him at the cross, and poking fun of him and shouting at him. And in Gethsemane, he knows the soldiers are coming, and the Jews are out to get him. And just with that thought of separation from God, bearing the weight of guilt, and knowing there's people out to like destroy him, that's why he's weeping.
Yeah, that's a lot to deal with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why you sweat drops of blood, isn't it,
Hmm.
in the garden? Because there's a lot that he endured.
Yes.
In those moments, those hours in the garden.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is crazy. Yeah. I mean, and it is, I know we're joking about it, but it is quite a thought that his bed, I mean, that's a lot of tears for it to be flooded. There was one time in one of my student houses where I was living in the top room where there was like a Velux window, right?
Okay.
And it was left open. I left it open.
Okay.
And it rained.
And it drenched your bed.
Drenched my bed. That's what I'm picturing. Like total rainfall, but of tears,
Yeah.
I mean, that is sorrow, isn't it?
Johan was up last night and he was crying and he was like, my bed's wet. Because of his tears, yeah.
Wow. That's cool. He's onto something that we're not onto then.
He had nightmares.
And
I told him off, so probably he cried even more.
Naughty boy for having nightmares.
Right, no, context. He had nightmares. 2 hours later, he's still awake.
banging on about it.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's like, okay, and
Come
you've
on,
woken Aron up.
Yeah,
And
pipe
mummy
down.
and daddy and, we just have another member of the family now
Yeah.
who wakes up every 2 hours for feeds. So
Johan, get into your wet bed, drenched with tears, settle down. No, fair.
he'll listen back to these in 20 years' time. and
Yeah.
go, oh my days.
He might sue you, I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, right. Thanks, everyone. I think we got one more left on Psalm 6.
Psalm